Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder we are back on the Drone Age dev server and it's time to have a look at the Skink. The Skink is a vehicle that has been longly anticipated when it comes to War Thunder, and it is a Canadian vehicle which is going to find itself in the British tech tree. It's at 4.7 right now, and it's also at rank 4. It's between the EVGA and also the Falcon. At 4.7, it's actually got a pretty nice lineup. You've got the Churchill 7, you've got the Sherman Firefly, which is really fun, and also the Avenger. You can also throw in the Concept 3. I'm very surprised the Concept 3 never went up in BR. This thing is very good for its BR. The Skink, though, adds to it, giving it an AA platform, which isn't the EVGA, so you can pretty much choose, do you want a higher velocity, very accurate 20mm, or do you want slightly lower velocity for 20mm and a bit of armor behind it? So now it's a much better kind of decision, where before neither of these vehicles existed, so you're stuck with the wonderful Crusader AAs. So the Skink has 4 Polston cannons. The Polston cannons, the 20mm, are just, let's call them efficiently made Oerlikons. They use a lot less parts than the Oerlikons, but they basically fire the same ammo and are designed to do the same thing, same fire rates and all of that, so they're just kind of better versions of them. So if you know how the Oerlikons are, you know how these are. It also has a machine gun. It has the 7.62mm, which actually works, which is pretty cool. Oh, it's not actually modeled right now. I thought it was. Let's just see if it actually works in the test drive. But it has obviously the main armament of the 20mm to be able to deal with stuff. Yeah, there you go. So it's not on the X-ray model, but you can see its whole machine gun does actually work, and it does move a little bit, which is really cool. So if you're dealing with very light targets, you can you can machine gun them down like that, which is pretty nice. But obviously the main reason you use this thing is for the 20mm, not the whole machine gun. It has a 5-man crew, so 3 in the turret, which are very close together, so if the turret gets penned, this whole thing will blow up. It also has the driver, the machine gunner as well, and all of the ammo below the center area. So if that goes up, then obviously the whole thing goes up anyway. The Skink has 4 of these cannons, and with the 4 cannons, each of the belts have 30 rounds in them, so it has 120 rounds overall before it has to reload everything. The reload's not bad though, it's less than 5 seconds. Obviously it depends on your crew. My crew's not bad with these guys. And the turret rotation is very fantastic as well for the vehicle. The targeting speed is actually 54 degrees per second. The main issue is the vertical speed is not as fast as stuff like the horizontal, so it might need a bit of time to catch up, but it should be completely fine to be useful. Has the 400 horsepower engine. This is based off the M4A1, or technically the Grizzly, which is a licensed produced M4A1 by the Canadians, and then it has its own unique turret on it. The turret has pretty good armor. It's actually all the variable thickness armor, so it isn't kind of like how this is set up. It's actually got its own kind of volumetric armor set up to it, which is really cool. I like the fact that this has become more and more of a thing when it comes to War Thunder. It does have this 50mm plate though, which is obviously a hatch to get in and out, so that's a bit of a problem. But you know, apart from that, everything else is variable. So you might get a bunch of really dodgy bounces off this stuff, because if you have a look at how the guns are kind of laid in, there's some like awkward angles here and also here where the rounds are definitely going to bounce. So you've got to be a bit careful. Just shoot this thing center mass. It's only 80mm, so most guns will be able to go through it, and if you can't, 60mm here and here, and you'll pen and it will spread to the turret, so it will kill everything inside. The vertical aiming drive is also huge on this thing, which is surprising, so taking that out might be quite easy to do, especially from the side. But yeah, it's kind of odd when it comes to its armor, because its armor's not the best, but compared to most AAs, its armor's pretty good. It's more of like a problem with the actual type of vehicle itself. Like, obviously, versus a heavy tank, the armor's terrible. But if you look at the EVGA, the Crusaders, all of that stuff around it, the Skink's armor is fantastically good. And from the top, this is where the main thing is. So the little kind of, I suppose, cupolas back here They are not very well armored, only 25. The base of the engine, or the engine deck's only 20 millimeters, so that'll be easy to get through. But when it comes to the top of it, because it's variably thick, it's generally about 30 millimeters to 60. So that'll stop most guns going through you at this tier. But if most people go for the engine, then you're going to be stuck anyway, but at least your crew's very well protected with this turret from the top. And that's one of the advantages of the Skink. It's this extra armor that it has. The guns have HE, so Heavy, or you can have APT. APT pens 42 millimeters, 32-16, so you can go full AA, or you can try your luck at killing ground targets if you want to. It does have artillery support, which is quite nice, and it is a little bit cumbersome because, of course, it's a Sherman chassis with, you know, basically 30 tons worth of weight on it. Has all the standard camos, which is really nice. The standard one is very Sherman-esque, but all the rest, of course, are just the basic British ones. And at this BR, the British have a ton of different camos. It'd be really nice if a lot of these get farmed out to a bunch of the other vehicles which are in the game in general. But the Skink is one of those vehicles which, when people talk about War Thunder and what they want to see, the Skink always comes up. It's just one of those which has been long awaited since the British tree got added all the way back in Royal Armour. And it's finally here. And after a million conversations, and after a million, you know, a million different people saying, you know, that they want it in different tech trees, and where do they want it, and what do they want to do, you can see the rotation is really nice on this thing, which is pretty good. But the guns themselves, you know, they can set fires, they can destroy stuff. Generally, they don't do too badly. They're just your standard 20 millimeters. You can see the new kind of flames there when it comes to the planes as well from the Skink, which is quite good. So this will be a good tank support. It will also be a pretty decent support for, you know, killing actual planes, you know, killing Heinkels and stuff, especially since they added those they added those massive bombs on the Heinkel more recently, which are very devastating, so you've got to be super careful about those ones. But at the same time, you're still going to have to learn how to shoot. You're still going to have to be accurate with it, unlike I am. So there's that. But you can see how quickly it was between those bolts, right? But against certain ground vehicles, like if we switch over to the AP, against, like, you know, certain ones, you'll be able to crack through them pretty easily. It also obviously depends on the amount of armor that they have, but 44 millimeters is not low. Like, it's not a terrible amount, and you can still do damage to planes. You're not going to cause as many fires and things like that, but you are going to rip off parts, which is, you know, what you can see here, and eventually cause stuff like fires and make sure that, you know, they kind of fall out of the sky. And with the artillery and with all of the other stuff, this is just another nice addition to the British tree. This one's going to be super fun to play, and it already has a lineup around it, so you don't have to, like, force it into lineups where it doesn't really belong. You can just kind of play it alongside of everything that goes on. And being a rank 4, it's good at researching rank 3, 4, and 5, so you can bring it into slightly higher lineups if you want, and it will do fantastically well with that. As long as you don't, you know, as long as you don't put it up too much and you start facing stuff like 262s. But even then, you never know. I've seen people be successful in stuff like whirlwinds and things like that and do pretty well. There's that fire again on the engine. Pretty cool, isn't it? I wonder if the AIs will actually use fire extinguishers. That's something I don't actually know. Maybe I should clarify that one. But yeah, it's a vehicle that I'm super happy to see, and I'm sure many people are super happy to see it, and it is just finally here. The last bastion of the old vehicles that I remember a lot of people requesting, and one which was announced like 7, 8, or 9 years ago, which after the B-26, the Elephant, the Skink, there is one more which sits kind of off the screen, and that is, of course, the Stug 4. So we'll have to see when the Stug 4 turns up, and then the Holy Trinity will be complete. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Nicholas Richardson, Elove Goat, Pyman675, Winter Scientist, Merciless Reaper, Jerry Prevolt, Megadino King, Orange Tail, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Uncle Bean, Sem Arslan, Derek R., Bareen, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.